Hello, and welcome to the next video on daily weather charts. This is a series where we look at different weather maps for the United States, and then we piece together what the forecast will look like over the next couple of days. Today's charts are valid for April 29th, 2023. If you enjoy this video, leave a like and subscribe, and we'll get started. We'll start with the visible satellite view from this morning, and we have increasing clouds over the lower Mississippi Valley and southeastern U.S. ahead of our next storm system. This system is moving out of Texas. We can see that here on the upper level water vapor view. The system is centered over Texas here with a big swirl surrounding that, and that is helping to create deep convection over the Gulf of Mexico. We can see that here on our long wave infrared imagery. The bright reds and the black colors are indicative of the strongest updrafts in the storms this morning. The radar view here shows rain and storms that's moving towards the Florida coast and eventually will pose a severe weather risk for the Florida Peninsula later this afternoon. Rain showers are ongoing across the Mid-South and now developing across the lower Mississippi Valley this morning, and those may also pose a smaller risk for severe weather. And so now let's go to our upper air charts this morning, and we're starting in the upper atmosphere looking for the jet stream. It is currently located over Texas and up into lower Mississippi and Tennessee valleys here, and that is going to be creating strong upper air support across the deep south and the Gulf of Mexico. And that's going to support the developing severe weather threat this afternoon for the southeast. Looking at the midsection of our atmosphere, we're trying to diagnose our wave pattern here, and we have an amplified shortwave trough over East Texas, and this is going to be moving over the deep south today and tomorrow. Strong winds flowing around the base of this trough here, and that is going to lead to a maturing and strengthening of our storm system here. And so as a result from this shortwave trough, it is helping to develop a broad surface low pressure system here at the surface, and I'll show you where that's at. This surface low is located somewhere in the southeast Arkansas, northeast Louisiana, western Mississippi vicinity here. And then circulation around here, around this low pressure, and that's helping to maintain a broad, moist and unstable warm sector across the southeast, and I'll show you kind of where that higher moisture content resides, and that's indicated here by our 60-degree dew points across the southeastern U.S. And so that's going to help foster and maintain a severe weather threat for today. And I'll show you what the Storm Prediction Center's severe weather outlook looks like. So we have a slight risk of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center, and that includes places like Jacksonville, Tampa, St. Petersburg, Orlando, and Tallahassee, Florida, here in the Florida Peninsula, in the Panhandle, and into southern Georgia. In fact, the slight risk does go all the way up into Savannah, Georgia. All hazards are on the table for today, with a few tornadoes possible in Florida and mainly in Florida and southern Georgia, with a damaging wind threat possible across most of the southeast U.S. coast, and a threat for large hail, mainly for eastern Florida and southeast Georgia, where the stronger instability is going to reside. And so then the risk of severe storms continues into first part of tomorrow, mainly for the southern part of Florida in the morning, and then a little bit later into later morning and early afternoon hours for the Carolina coast and into the mid-Atlantic region, with primarily a damaging wind threat and possibly a few tornadoes along the eastern coast of the United States. So now we're going to look into one of the models here for today and tomorrow. So this is one of our shorter range models, and I believe this model has a good handle on what's going to be happening today. It's got currently a batch of showers and storms ongoing over the Gulf of Mexico, south of Tallahassee, Florida, and it has the rain showers that are developing over the lower Mississippi Valley. This image, whoops. This image is valid as of noon today, so about right now. And so we're going to be tracking these storms and put a time frame on some of these storms here for Florida. And so it has storms impacting the Florida Panhandle probably around 2 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and then later on impacting the Florida Peninsula a couple hours later. So this would be around 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 6 p.m. So it has storms moving through the peninsula between 4 and 6 p.m. And these storms could foster an all hazards threat, damaging winds, maybe some large hail, and possibly a tornado or two. You see some of these cells here that are developing, they're trying to develop out ahead of this main line right here. And so some of those could foster maybe a little bit higher chance for large hail and possibly a tornado threat, as there will be a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere. You also see some additional storms developing behind this batch of storms in southern Mississippi and eventually into Alabama later this afternoon. Some of these could have strong gusty winds and some hail, but I think the severe weather threat is going to be very low associated with those storms. And then eventually storms in Mississippi and Alabama kind of merge together, and it's just basically just a rain shield of locally heavy rain. I think that's, for the most part, what we're going to see here. And maybe a rumble of thunder, but I don't expect widespread severe weather tonight across Alabama. And then later tonight into the pre-dawn hours Sunday, another round of storms is going to develop over the eastern Gulf of Mexico and eventually track into Florida during the pre-dawn hours Sunday. And some of those storms could again be severe, but there will be questions on the moisture and instability, what the impact from those storms earlier in the day will have on the environment. But if there's enough moisture and instability for severe weather, some of these storms could produce damaging winds and potentially a tornado or two as well. And then as we go into the morning hours on Sunday, storms in Florida are going to be moving offshore. And then we're going to have some additional storms that move up the Carolina coast. And some of those could also foster a severe weather threat, damaging winds, and potentially a tornado or two. It can't be ruled out during the late morning hours on Sunday and into the early afternoon. And so now we're going to go to our national charts for the next couple of days. This service chart is valid for 7 a.m. this morning, and we have a stationary front that's draped across the southeastern U.S. with that broad low pressure system over southeast Arkansas, northeast Louisiana, and that will eventually be moving into Mississippi, with a trailing cold front down through Louisiana and the Gulf of Mexico. So for the rest of today, that cold front will sweep through the Gulf, with showers and storms continuing through tonight across the south. Severe storms are possible ahead of the front. For tomorrow, that system will move offshore with the severe threat ending by mid-afternoon. Another cold front will approach from the northwest, bringing cooler temperatures. And then for Monday, that front will be bringing much cooler and calmer pattern for the southeastern U.S. to start next week. And so that's going to conclude for this video, and I'll see you next time.